All right, so we have a 65 plus hour game review from Chaotic, who is a very trusted source on games, you know. So let's see what he has to say about Chaotic. Here, let me adjust my volume here a little bit. Let's see what Chaotic has to say.
Year of waiting for Arknights Endfield to return, I'm one of the selected creators to try and play Arknights Endfield in an effort to see how much of the game has improved since the technical test.
Yeah.
In a year, many improvements have been made, and in this video, I'll be going over the things that stand out and give you a review of the game overall from my perspective. I want to make something clear before we begin. Yes, I am a Hypergriff fanboy, but in no way will I allow this review to be skewed by my love for their games. The purpose of this review is not only to provide feedback on the things I like and didn't like, but also
Hmm.
to provide suggestions for features that I feel would make the overall game much better before release. This video is not sponsored by Hypergriff Griffline in any
Very
way,
good.
shape, or form, and all of the opinions in this video are my own after playing over 65 hours of the game.
I cannot wait to see what he has to say. 65 hours? I wonder if he beat all the content. I wonder how long it took him. Wonder how long, and I wonder if it felt grindy. I wonder if it felt grindy. I wonder if it felt like something that he would want to do again on release since he did it all in the beta.
Let's get right into it. To kick things off, Arknights Endfield is a 3D RPG developed by Hypergriff and published by their own publishing company, Griffline. The game was
Okay.
kicked off by a truly stunning introduction sequence that appears to tie in elements of the original game, but also introducing you to the plot of this brand new title, Endfield. The story revolves around a character known as the Administrator, who has lost their memories after waking from a long sleep. The Administrator is
Yet another protagonist with amnesia. Gotta love it.
only woken up when a major crisis is occurring, and this time,
Fuck my
the
old
crisis
self.
is a combination of the Blight as well as the Agaloy. I won't dive too deep into the story, but I will say that the story I experienced had highs and really low lows, and the cutscenes in this
Ooh.
game are absolutely fantastic. I appreciated the change in how the story was told as the previous technical test.
I'm glad at least the cutscenes are pretty good because if it had low lows, high highs, and the cutscenes sucked, ah, that would make going through the story a fucking slog. I'm glad we at least get something pretty to look at.
Had us watching two or more characters just standing around, talking about events taking place instead of showing us these events. This beta took a different approach with a lot of camera angle changes and visual representations of events taking place or referred to. There was still a lot of dialogue, which I don't expect to change, as the original game is known for hours upon hours of text for each story, but I do like that the team over at Hypergriff
And that's fine. It just gives me more content over here at twitch.tv/cryptedbeast in case you ever want to come and hang out for when the game comes out or anything in between. I play a bunch of different games, so just keep that in mind.
is experimenting with ways to make the storytelling easier to absorb by giving us visuals to go alongside the events when nothing is truly happening at that moment. I will say that character expressions and voiceovers for many characters still need a bit of work, especially Perlica. But when they got it right, it truly shows.
My name is Perlica. I am the supervisor of Enfield
Ooh.
Industries. While you get reacquainted with this place, I will also be in charge of your well-being.
Yeah, I said it in one of the other games or one of the other videos I made. They need to quit with the monotone. It is just flat out annoying and just unappealing, honestly. It just makes me want to go to sleep every time the character talks.
It's all right, Administrator. You might not remember this either,
It's all right
but
to
you've
have
always been the
personalities.
leader of Enfield Industries. You are the paragon and most important companion of every Enfielder. Director Chin, do we have a contingency plan to handle a situation like this?
Andre mentioned it before, but almost all of us thought he was just being paranoid. The ether cell has been stable.
And I know a bunch of people are saying this, but I think he is completely out of place, and he needs a. I know they probably won't, but please just give him a different redesign, man. He just looks annoying. Seeing him just pisses me off. I hate it so much.
For so many years.
That's not even
And
counting his
UWST
personality.
is supposed to be familiar with its use.
Those Woosters are good engineers, but they're not landbreaker experts.
Not the Woosters.
No one saw this coming.
Those landbreakers must have done something to the ether cell. We registered spikes in ether readings after the explosion, but they're all below the event threshold so far. We still have a chance to fix this.
I hope those readings are accurate. The sky is changing before our eyes. We are facing a potential ether side rupture event.
Now, let's talk about the combat and progression systems, because this game is taking a different approach to character progression and combat. Progression holds some similar systems, as you'll be utilizing a stamina system to grind for very specific materials that will help
Very
level
standard.
up your character, weapons, skills, and more. However, this game utilizes a very different gearing system than many other games with gacha mechanics in them. All of the gear in this game have static stats. This means that
Yeah, and we heard about this. It's very static stats, so you can actually build your characters how you want to be built, and not just rely on RNG, at least for this part, which is super amazing, super good. I'm glad they at least have some stagnant thing that you can look forward to.
the stats have absolutely no RNG associated with them. If you craft a set of gloves or armor from a specific gear set, the stats will always be the same. This means that the approach taken for gear doesn't rely on RNG, but instead it focuses on ease of creation and a bit of build diversity for gear set buffs, which enables creativity for character building. For example, this character
That's rough.
Gilberta is a nature elemental character, and
Yeah, I wonder if you can move. I wonder if you can move in that ultimate, because he wasn't hitting that enemy. I don't know. I don't know if you can't move or whatever, if he just wasn't moving, but
creativity for character building. For example, this character Gilberta is a nature elemental character, and there is a specific set for characters like her with this element. However, I can use a set made for gathering SP instead, which allows me to execute more abilities, since she'll be contributing to giving me more SP to use when I need to execute skills.
very nice.
I feel like this is a brilliant way to execute character development, because it will allow us to create different uses for characters regardless.
Having multiple sets that you can focus on instead of, or a fire set go with a fire character, electric set goes with electric character. Having the flexibility of different sets really adds a lot more depth to the game, to where you can decide, do I want it to do A or do I want it to do B? Really nice touch, honestly.
Regardless of their intended roles. They also have this system added to the weapons that, from my time playing the game, is the most RNG element of this game's progression systems, and it's the essence system. You basically
Okay.
obtain these items through enemy drops or crafting, and these items add on to the weapon's stats in the game. But instead of needing to grind for 3 or 4 of these items per character, you only need to grind for 1 per character's equipped weapon. So it's
1 RNG per character? Man, sign me up. That sounds like a grade A winner right there. Compared to the 6 or 7, 8 plus things that you need to do per character, having one, that's not too bad of a deal.
not that bad. However, good luck getting a piece that has all 3 stats that you're looking for. Let's move on to the combat, because there are many changes compared to the technical test that was held last year. In this beta, the developers revamped the battle system from the slower MMORPG-ish system that enabled you to think about your moves and even tell your character what direction.
I know from the last CBT, people were really hating on it for the combat. It felt really janky, it felt slow, it felt just very not fluid. But from then to now, people are really praising the combat, which is a huge plus, that the devs are listening and actually adapting to what the players want, instead of just trying to brute force their way along.
The move should be executed in. The current battle system is a mix of action RPG and some SRPG elements, by giving you an SP bar at the bottom that allows you to execute up to 3 skills when filled. You fill this SP bar by executing final blows through your basic attack chain, or building characters to obtain SP faster. You can also wait for your SP to be regained, but this takes the longest, as the SP bar is a team-wide resource instead of giving each character their.
So I didn't know that you get SP off of doing the final hit system where their face glows right there. That's a good tidbit to know. I thought it just kind of regened slowly, passively over time. I didn't know you could force it by essentially being better at the game. You can quicken your rotations. That's really good to know.
Own SP bar. A dodge was also added, but unfortunately, this dodge isn't too useful as it interrupts the possibility of landing a final blow by forcing you to start the basic chain attack all over again.
It just
once
means you gotta
dodge.
choose, do you want
This new
damage or
combat
do you
system
want to
makes
not
combat
take
faster than
damage?
the previous system, while also providing a sense of depth that will allow you to explore more team comps based off of a new feature called combo skills. Combo skills are abilities that are activated when specific actions have taken place in battle. For example, Levatian's combo skills activate when combustion is dealt to enemies on the field. This is done by mixing her heat arts with another set of elemental arts.
Okay.
Another example is Arknights combo skill, which activates whenever an ability that restores SP is activated. It's up to you as
Okay.
the player to explore the various options given to you through these characters and find which combo skills chain together so that you can create something that looks a little like this.
Field training session.
Let's see him go hard.
Let me have a taste of this.
And combo.
Flint, need a hand?
Combo.
Everyone's doing great.
He's like barely doing anything.
Try to not stumble.
He's really got this set up.
Give me power.
Do not take that hit.
Those enemies couldn't even move.
There are-
Now, I know the bosses aren't going to be like that, but just being able to stun lock the mobs, that's got to be a great feeling. Like once you master everything and you have combo going on and it's very fluid like that, that's got to be such a great feeling knowing that you're actually playing the characters right.
There are also basic attacks that you execute through the left click on your mouse, a skill, and an ultimate. Each one of these also have the possibility to activate combo skills if they meet the character's requirements. This combo skill system can also be manipulated by the set of gear that you have equipped on each of the characters as well as their talents. Both
Okay.
the character progression systems as well as the combat work incredibly well together, generating a great experience for the players when you have properly come up with a build that you are proud of. Now, the biggest aspect of the game is the base building. Base building is
Yeah, and I know some people have been commenting saying the base building, it's a lot easier once you read what you need to read. But let's be honest, we're gacha players. How many people, what percentage of us do you think is actually going to read things? No, we're going to sit there and just click out of all the tutorials because we're all veteran, professional gamers. We don't need to read. We can figure it out ourselves. And we're going to smash our heads against this base building system until we get mad and blame the game. I'm probably going to be one of them, honestly. I don't like reading. But hopefully I can read very minimal and just figure out the rest. It looks a lot. I feel like if I look at it more, if I actually play it and get my hands on it, I'll figure it out a little bit better than I do
a
now.
very important aspect of your overall account progression. You want to craft higher quality gear? You must build the item requirements within the base. You want healing items and buffs to carry around? You must build the item requirements. Want to upgrade the various other bases in the game?
This look, just this look, it just looks like a lot. I know probably once you figure out what each of these things do, it's not that bad because it seems like a very flowy system. It just, it looks very daunting to somebody who hasn't played like base building games and who hasn't played anything to that effect. Ooh.
The various other bases in the game? You get the point. Building is a very important aspect of this game, and I'd argue that it's the main focus of this game.
Absolutely.
They've added other bases called outposts, which give you more room for growth and obtaining important items, but without learning how each structure works, you'll most likely find yourself rebuilding a lot. However, once you've built your base in a way that provides all the needs for your account, you will have a consistent flow of that item when needed.
I also heard that, now correct me if I'm wrong, I also heard that once you build your base and you get it how you want it, you literally never have to touch it again. Once you get it building everything you need to build, once you have it finally maxed out, you don't have to touch it again. Now, if that's true, that's huge. If not true for whatever reason, uh, I feel like that'd be really detrimental.
Another aspect
But
of the
let me
base
know if
building
I'm
is
right or
the
wrong.
outpost system. Each outpost is requesting for a specific item to be made in exchange for a currency that can be utilized by a shop on the home ship while leveling up the outpost at the same time, giving you a larger outpost to build upon a bit more.
All
Think
right.
of your outpost as an additional base building section where you can craft even more items needed. This gives you another location to build and acquire items needed to progress within the game. Along with outposts come quests that teach you more about the systems within the game. This outpost system didn't exist in the previous technical test and is a nice addition. Another base building mode that I was hoping for was base raids, and they delivered. Think of this as a 3D manifestation of the original Arknights game that takes place at...
I gotta say, I love tower defense games. I never played Arknights because, uh, for some reason, I can't find a proper download. And every time it does want to download, it won't download to the right area and everything. It's just a big issue. But I love tower defense games. So I'm really excited about this. I've never played a down to earth tower defense game, but I'm assuming I'll like it just the same.
every outpost. However, this mode must be activated so it doesn't happen by surprise, and you don't lose materials
That's
or your
very good.
base when you fail. I personally don't feel like there's enough risk in this mode, but that's just me. The way that this works
They'll
is you'll
probably
be
change it and
placing
update
down
it.
crafted defenses that will attack the enemies as they invade the base. You can also use your own party of characters to contribute to the defenses of your base. Each outpost has this available after meeting some quest related requirements, but I think it's a nice entry to the game despite needing more work. Now, I want to take a moment to share all of the feedback that I've gathered during my experience playing Arknights Endfield. Number 1. The story has drastically improved, especially visually, but sometimes the voiceover and character expressions cause the story to feel as if it's falling short.
I'm gonna be real with you guys. I personally, I never really have high hopes for the voice acting in gacha games. At the very least, I want to be content, but I don't expect them to be over the top. I just don't I at the very least just don't want it to be shit. That's all I ask for.
When it's actually the character performance that's lacking. A great example of this is Perlica. She lacks the emotion both visually as well as her vocal expression. Since this character is your traveling companion, I was expecting her to open up more over time, but during this beta, she's been the most boring character because of this, which makes...
And why is it always the character that you're supposed to be with the most that just sits there in monotone? Could it not just be a random side character? Then it would be probably funny if it was just a random character that you see every once in a while, like in a very dangerous, intense situation. They just show up and it's just like, oh no, guys, I wonder what we'll do from here. I feel like that would add a little bit of comedic relief to it. But if it's someone that's with you 24/7, I feel like you need to give us something with someone with more pizzazz, someone with more personality, someone to actually talk to you, not just talk at you.
the story feel like a drag when she's around. Number 2. Combat in this game has improved drastically with the addition of combo skills in this action-based system. However, I do feel like once you get the characters built and the rotation perfected, combat gets a bit repetitive. However, I only started to feel this way once I completed all of the content in the beta, so maybe it was just a lack of new things to do, but I figured it was worth mentioning anyway. Number 3. I love the amount of choice for the gear provided in the game. However, I do feel like the amount of gear sets just wasn't enough. I love to have enough gear
Okay.
sets that allow you to do more with your characters and focus on specific stats. I don't want the
All right, so they have good gear sets that don't lock you in, but he doesn't think there's enough variety. I feel like that's definitely something that they're working on. I mean, it is still just an early test, so we'll have to see. We can't really make any hasty decisions. I know this is just a review of what he's done so far, but I feel like they'll add at least like 2, maybe 3 more sets by the time of official release, if I were to guess on what they would do. but we'll
RNG
just
to
keep that in
return,
mind.
just more sets with more statistical options and buffs that give me more diversity in the character builds. I will
Okay.
say that this was a fantastic first step. Number 4. In this test, there was a mode called Algorithmic Memories. This was the most boring part of the entire beta, as you spend
Ooh.
time collecting balls that give you stat buffs in this linear platforming setting. I'd like this to be
It,
more roguelike with options that could completely change the way you play your characters.
I
However,
just
the boss fights in
looks
this mode were
boring.
incredibly fun and surprisingly difficult sometimes. Number 5. Base building is a wonderful idea that I found to be incredibly fun to play around with, but sometimes you're required to start from scratch in order to optimize your base. Having the option to save one template that you previously built and return to that base template at any time would be a fantastic feature to have. Another thing that you should be able to do is allow your friends to view your base so that your friends can copy your base manually if they choose.
That is a fantastic idea. If you have a friend that's struggling and you're like, damn, I got this down, I feel like that's a great idea to be able to copy your base. It saves so much. It would actually, let me correct my, it would actually enforce adding friends to see different bases, to see, well, oh, they have this doing better than me. Uh, I can copy them and, upgrade my base, so on and so forth. I feel like that would be great because essentially it could start like a mini competition of, well, your base is better than mine, so I'm gonna take that and then maybe improve upon that, and so on and so forth. I feel like that's a great idea to be able to view and copy bases.
Whatever you do, do
I feel like it
not
wouldn't hurt
allow
the game
people to
either.
download bases and just use them as a template. Make them have to do the work so the reward feels worth it. Number 6. Give us truly difficult optional content. I understand that hard content sometimes turns players away, but I'd like to experience trial and error even after fully building my characters. I love bosses that require you to understand the intricacies of each character on your team, as well as feel the effects of each piece of gear added to my character's build. Arknights had difficulty even if you had powerful units, as you need to understand the mechanics and each character's purpose. Add various mechanics on the boss's fields that need to be utilized, or you could suffer quick defeat. Please do not make this game easy and boring. Number 7.
If this game ends up being just oh, I can smash my head against the wall and I win type of game, I feel like it would really kill a lot of its audience, honestly. Uh it feels like a game where you want it to be at least a little bit hard, and maybe add like Wuthering Waves. It has the secondary TOA where it's like level, all of them are level 100 enemies. That's harder content. Now, it may not be as hard for some others as it is for some people, but it's they tried to add a little bit of harder content. And same thing with Honkai Star Rail. Maybe not the hardest content, but they try to make it a varied uh, content. I've definitely feels like if they make this game easy, it's probably not going to have too long of a lifespan. But hopefully, well, they keep up the good work.
While the SB system is great, the dodge added to the game isn't too rewarding, and it sometimes feels better to just tank a hit and finish your final blow in order to
I don't think
gather
it's
that
supposed to be
SP
rewarding.
needed to cast your skills. I think a great approach would be to have the dodge allow us to continue your current attack chain when executing a perfect dodge, instead of forcing us to start all over again after the dodge.
I think it's supposed to make it. I think it's supposed to feel bad, just for the fact that if it feels bad, it'll make you have to decide: do I want to try and tank this damage to pump out more damage, or do I want to focus on survivability? Now, I'll be fine either way, but I think that's what they're trying to go for. Is they want you to not feel like uh how do I say this? They want you to feel like you want to choose one or the other.
This will allow for more final blows, which will result in more SP. I want to be clear that I understand the point of this system is to have us perfect our timing and force us to watch our skill usage instead of spamming them. However, the dodge becomes a negative in this game instead of a positive, which makes the dodge useless in many cases, in my opinion. Number 8. Last but not least, give us the option that asks us if we want consistent tutorials to appear when we discover something.
Oh,
Some of
God.
us just like to learn through trial and error. You can make this a setting in the options as well as something you select early into the game. It's very important that this is added as there are so many tutorials that you're forced to sit through. And that's it for my review of Arknights Endfield. This experience is exactly what
I agree. I hope they get rid of I hope when you start up the game they give you an option. Do you want to see tutorials or no? I choose no every time.
I've been looking for, and I can't
But
wait.
he did a fantastic job reviewing this. Honestly, I I've said this in my other videos. I cannot wait. Honestly, depending on how my current games go, because right now, Honkai Star Rail, it's kind of going down the tubes. They are really shitting the bed with the story, and the characters aren't feeling too fun. So who knows? I might be dropping that game for this game. It really just depends on how my other games go. But this honestly might be my new main game, depending on how hard it is. If it's too easy, probably not. If it's just a hard game that you really have to try for, maybe. I love hard games. I love Dark Souls. If it's as hard as a Dark Souls game, I'm totally down for it. But thank you all for watching. I appreciate it. Don't forget to like and subscribe and have a good one. Peace.